Hi everyone, Jeanette Biro here. I'm a medium and a channeler, and I had a really great question come in today, a very valid question, and it was, why would someone choose to come back to Earth? And, it kind of makes me chuckle. At the same time, I completely understand it, and I think many of us have thought that before, have questioned that, like, why would somebody come back to Earth? And what's funny is that in my NDE, I chose to come back. So even when I have these moments now, since my NDE, where if something's happening in life and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why would someone be here? I can't help but kind of chuckle to myself because I had the opportunity on the other side to stay, but I desired to come back. And it's from this angle that I want to talk about this. So I want to say, first of all, that when we come into this lifetime, like I've talked about in how we set up these blueprints of our life, of things we would like to experience as a soul, we have desires for lessons, and to understand these lessons, we need to experience it to gain the wisdom from it. So we have to kind of get into it in order to gain the wisdom. And so we will set up different themes for our lives to attain the wisdom that we're hoping to gain, which all adds to our soul's ascension. Now, the thing is when we're in the human form, it is much more visceral. It is much more draining. It demands so much more than when we're sitting on the other side, deciding what it is we want to do. And I can even say my own perspective when I was on the other side of this human life was how much I loved it. And I was in awe of this human life and how we grow so much. And I vividly remember the view of like, wow, it's amazing we get to be human. It is so amazing. It is challenging. It is joyful. It is, highly polarized, but we learn so much from it. We gain so much. Like, wow, what an experience, what an adventure. But I also very much realize how it feels to be from the human side of like, this is brutal. This is taking everything out of me. I have nothing left to give. I don't know where the wisdom is. So there are those two polarities. But what I do want to say is that with that concept in mind, when we die and cross over and we're on the other side, we can choose to stay on the other side indefinitely. We can choose not to come back to Earth and not learn certain lessons. Even if there's karmic ties, we can choose to wait indefinitely because there is no time. But what often happens is the soul, after a while, desires another experience because on the other side, everything is in harmony, and that's a beautiful thing. But for growth, we need to make ourselves a little bit uncomfortable to grow. We all know that, right? Think of physical growing pains when you're growing. Think about times you have to push yourself. Say you're terrified of public speaking, but you want to speak at conferences. You're going to have to put yourself out there and be uncomfortable until you can figure out how to step into that. So in order to grow on a soul level, we need to come into experiences where we need to learn things in a very deep way. And Earth is an amazing place for that, which is why many souls desire to come to Earth, because they know the gains that they get from coming to Earth are so much more than other places or different kind of incarnations. And I can even use the incarnation as an animal. And again, I'm going to generalize here, but someone coming in as an animal spirit will have a gentler, shorter time frame here than someone coming into a human spirit who will have a longer time with more emotion, more responsibility, more duality, more. So something to consider is when you're having those moments where you're totally overwhelmed and you're like, this is too much for me. I don't know how to be here on this planet. First of all, I want to say I hear you. And I think almost anyone listening to this hears you. You're not alone in that thought. The next one is to think that when you cross over, you can choose to not come back. You don't have to do this again. You can change and do something different. And yes, there are karmas and there are things, but you could choose not to take on another lifetime for a long time, indefinite. There's no time. But what you can also do then is in that realization, if the concept of a human life is too much, and you know that you don't have to come back if you really, really don't want to because it's indefinite. What you can also think though is I might as well make the most of it while I'm here. And when you can change that perspective, At least I know for me, if I can change that in those moments, like, you know what, I'm here now, I'm going to make the most of it. It is so empowering. And that thought alone can change your perspective from being dragged through the mud to rather journeying through the mud to get to where you want and pick up all the information and gain all the wisdom you can, so that when you arrive on the other side, it's like you drop down on the other side like Thor and you land in this power position. You're like, I am here. I have these huge backpacks of earth, life, energy, information, and wisdom. What do you want to know? Let me share it all. Let me show you everything I brought back from my massive journey on earth. Again, it's perspectives that help make this earth life beautiful, because it can be beautiful even in the toughest moments. We can find beauty in it. So I hope that helps explain it a little bit. Again, there are many more tangents I could go on, karmic cycles that bring us back to earth and all of that. But I wanted to keep this general and concise, though, to freedom of choice as a soul, to help bring this perspective through. So I hope that helps. Beautiful question. Keep the questions coming. And I'll be back again